electric.
Hi everyone, welcome back for another video. A bit late I know, but we get there in the end. This is my August monthly energy update where we'll talk about solar PV, how much we've generated, where we've used all that great energy, charging the car, heating our hot water and all those sort of things. But beforehand, an update. What on earth has been going on? And partly that's the delay in why it's taken me so long to get this energy update out. There's been so much going on that I've been distracted. I had a Mixergy hot water tank installed and I'll do a separate video on that later, but I'll cover what's happened with the Mixergy tank in a moment. I've also had an air-to-air heating system, an air conditioning system installed. That has really distracted me as well. There's been so much data to look at, so much testing to be done to see how it works. I've just got behind with doing this update. So before we get into the numbers and how August was, it's been such a transformational month and a few weeks. The month of August was so hot, we had air conditioning on in the house, even our portable air conditioning systems before we had the fixed ones. It was really, really hot. And then it just seemed to get cold. And then we had a little blip of it getting hot again, and now it's gone cold again. I mean, it was 7 degrees here in Norfolk overnight the other night. And yeah, that's getting pretty cold. So autumn's definitely here, summer's on the way out, and we've got some real good reminders that winter is on the way. And that's what I've started thinking about with the end of the summer. I've started thinking about how much energy we used last year for heating and how much energy we're going to use this year, because I'm on my new Octopus Energy tariff. Yep, that started in early September as well. That's gone up from 4.5 pence cheap rate to 7.5 pence. The standing charge has gone up to 37 pence, I think. And my price per kilowatt hour peak rate through most of the day is 40 pence a kilowatt hour. So it's a big rise from what we had before. So I'm expecting a big change. And I've started to notice it already, even though we're still running completely on solar and the home storage battery. We're not really drawing from the grid more than half a kilowatt hour on some of the biggest days. We're still using a lot more electricity. Instead of 25, 26, 27 pence, including standing charge a day, we're at 40, 50 pence a kilowatt hour. Sorry, we're at 40, 50 pence a day, and it's not a lot of money, but it's a big proportional change. And that's what I'm curious about now over winter, when we had bills of 50, 60, 70 pounds a month. Will it be 100, 200 pounds a month? How bad is it going to get? And I've had to re-look back at my history and what's happened and when did it happen? When did we uninstall the Huawei battery? When did I get the Victron battery up and running? When did I install my extra solar? And how much of last winter included not running on a battery? Because there was a period during last winter, I think it was in January onwards, I didn't have a home storage battery at all working for a couple of months. So there is a period where we're going to gain from last year just because we've got a home storage battery. And also we've got to gain because we've got more solar than what we had last year as well. Anyway, what's been going on? Now I've been thinking about all this winter and what's been distracting me. The Mixergy hot water tank. As I've said in a previous video, I've got mixed feelings about that. Mixed feelings, Mixergy tank, yeah. It's left me cold in some respects, but hot in other respects. I like the design, I like the interface, I like so much about it, but I'm disappointed that it's not doing exactly what I wanted. And that I'll cover in a separate video. It just took too long to cover, but there's been a lot of time and effort me looking at the system and checking it and seeing how to best utilize it from my point of view. With a PV switch that you get from Mixergy, and I'm using the Mixergy Eddy PV diverter. If it was all Mixergy products, it would probably be working better. But I had hoped it would work better and integrate, as it does say it integrates with other PV diverter switches. So anyway, I'll cover that later. The other thing that was going on, obviously I said about an air source heat pump, and I think I came to the conclusion that, you know, those sort of people that don't like solar panels on the roof and they go, oh, they're ugly, you know, who would want them on the house? I'm sort of at that level with big radiators and oversizing radiators. I've got this thing where I just don't want them. And I can't work out whether it's a real thing, because I know if I had an air source heat pump, I'd appreciate the COP values, I'd appreciate the heat. I know I could get it to work. A home would be appropriate, even with its smaller bore pipes. I'm confident it would work well in this house. So I'm probably more stubbornly disappointed that the specification that I want for an air source heat pump isn't flexible enough. The people that want to install it won't be flexible because of the way the government grant system works. So I can't have an air source heat pump in the way that I want to right now, because they're after customers that just want to do what they want to do and just want to do it according to the government spec for the grants, whereas I want to do it my own way, and I'm not in the position where I want to let go of instantaneous heat. So I had an oil boiler before, and you turn that on and you get instant heat. It is quite quick. Now with the air-to-air heating system that we've got, it's even more instantaneous. You can get really hot air coming through from that system very, very quickly. Whereas with an air source heat pump, it's much slower, much lower temperature. It takes a lot longer for the house to build up heat, and then you're encouraged not to turn it off and to keep it going because of that delay in bringing it back up to temperature. Whereas the air-to-air delivers the sort of flexibility and usability that I had before of more instantaneous heat. So I felt that I was going away from air source heat pump and going towards an air-to-air system because it didn't have the radiators, didn't have the oversizing. It was a step towards getting rid of the oil boiler, and it was instantaneous heat, and it had some improved COP values, which, you know, I've yet to find out what they are. I've seen the air conditioning units that we've got running at a fraction of the electricity that we were using the two portable air conditioning units. So I can see that air conditioning wise, it's very, very economical. I'm hoping over the winter, the heating side of that is also very, very economical. I've most certainly seen that it's capable of outputting a lot of heat. It heated our home very quickly on a test, but you know, it wasn't that particularly a cold day. And it got up to 3.8 kilowatts of power. So if it had even a COP value of 2, that's a 7.6 kilowatt heat output from it, which, you know, sort of blows my mind. What I really want to see is a 2 or 3 kilowatt output at like a 1 kilowatt of power being used. I'll see if that's what we actually get over the winter period. I can't believe I'm actually looking forward to winter to find out, you know, is it really going to work? So we've made that step. We've disconnected also our wet room radiators. So I've installed little immersion heaters, cheap dual fuel immersions, just electric immersions with an electric plug on the other end of it to heat the water in our radiators. And I've disconnected it from the heating system so that we're not also heating the pipes and the water that flows around the heating system. So it's just the local radiators that's heating. So I'm even further away now from an air source heat pump installation because I don't have connected wet room radiators anymore. They're not part of our central heating system. So if we put an air source heat pump in, it couldn't heat those radiators. I'd have to reinstall them. So that step that I've made is a step towards getting rid of the oil boiler. I really feel now that next year that oil boiler could be deinstalled, and I've got to start looking at how to do it, how to make sure it's recycled and get rid of the oil, because I don't want to pay someone to take the oil away. I need to get it used. It's much easier and cheaper to use it than it is to give it away or have it recycled in some way. So I've got all that to look forward to on getting rid of the oil boiler, but it's definitely a huge step in the direction of where I wanted to be, which is not using gas, not using oil, not using petrol, not using any of those things, and just using electricity for all of our energy needs. So we really are getting close now, and it's been a small step at a time. You know, I was doing that testing, working out how to deliver heat to our wet rooms, and I didn't like the infrared panels, so I've gone for these immersions in the radiator. It's a very simple and easy solution. They're running on smart plugs on the other end, so they're able to be controlled and switched on and off as I need. I've done a quick test of those, and they're very, very effective. You don't have to leave them on for very long, and you get a nice hot radiator in your bathrooms, which will give you a nice warm, dry towel as well, and that was the key. So this winter is going to be interesting because I don't need to turn the oil boiler on for any other reason other than just to use the oil up and to get rid of it. So I think I'll do some of that, but I need to do some of the testing of seeing how these new heating elements are actually working. I've also been sent over a electric radiator to test. So you know those oil-filled radiators, portable ones that I was using, they're not recommended for permanent use. So a company, Best Electric Radiators, they have sent me one to test. They are designed for permanent use. They are designed as an efficient way of heating your home with electricity. So I'll be really interested to test heating Charlotte's room with that radiator rather than the oil-filled radiator. because we haven't installed air-to-air heating in her room. She's going to have just an electric radiator in there. So more on that later. Where else are we? What else has been going on? Home automation, we had one Casa light bulb go, so I suddenly realised they're going to be hard to replace if you can't get hold of spares. There's a lot of Casa products out of stock, so I ordered a little stock of their Casa smart bulbs. Not quite the ones that I'd used before, but they're definitely ones that work and will be good replacements. So I've got a nice stock of Casa smart bulbs now. The energy monitoring smart plugs that I bought, they're just generic branded ones off Amazon. They're working really, really well. I quite like them. They use the Smart Life app, or the Tuya, T-U-Y-A app. At the moment, I'm having to go to one app to look at the energy consumption and then go to Casa to look at the energy consumption of different plugs. And I haven't got them all inside Home Assistant. So it's not ideal, but it's an improvement. We're moving forward with more automation, more data. Talking of that, I've bought some more Sonoff Zigbee thermostats. So we've got more rooms now being monitored for humidity and for temperature. And that's a little bit scary when you see the loft humidity and how high it is, but of course it matches more with what the outside humidity and temperature is. So that'll be interesting to watch over winter as to whether the loft increases with heat from the house and whether I need more insulation in the loft or not. So that's what I've installed the loft thermostat for, to track whether we've got too much heat loss and I want more insulation up in the loft. The other thermostats in the rooms around the house, that's proving that we've got a nice steady temperature at the moment, and that's working quite well. The kitchen right now that I'm sat in is one of the warmest rooms of the house because we've got so much light coming through these windows. When the sun is out, it warms the room up a lot, so it's one of the warmest rooms in the house. When winter gets here, December, January, it'll be one of the coldest rooms in the house because we're not going to have an actual radiator on in this room. So on the really dark, cold days where it's, minus something outside, this room will actually be cold. But with the door open and the new air conditioning air-to-air system, I don't know. I don't know how well that heat will spread, so we've got to find that out. Okay, time for the data then. The data for the month of August. So yeah, less talking about winter, more talking about how wonderful summer was and how much solar we had. August was another great month. September's not looking as great. It's most certainly changed now, hasn't it? But August, I think, was a great month. So here's the stats for the month of August.
Starting with solar generation, that's just over a megawatt hour for the month. I think that might be 4 in a row at least. 1,058 kilowatt hours. First 2 weeks of August, as you can see, were great, rising up to nearly 50 kilowatt hours a day. Then it was mixed thereafter, but overall, not going to complain at 1,058 kilowatt hours. In fact, that's 5 months in a row over a megawatt hour, April through August. The breakdown of the different arrays, that's 304 kilowatt hours from our solar edge array, 2.4 kilowatts of solar panels, 2 kilowatt inverter. And that was better generation than the last 2 Augusts as well on the solar edge array. Staying on the solar edge app, looking at the monthly comparison, you can see that the green bars 2022, they're higher on 6 months of the year. So this has been a really good solar year so far. So the rest of the solar generation, that's my 2 Solis arrays. We've got a 3.9 kilowatts of solar panels with a 3.6 kilowatt inverter, and then a 1.8, I think, kilowatt array on the east gable of the house, and a 1.1 kilowatt array over on the garage. Those have generated 227 kilowatt hours for the month. That's for the garage and the gable combined, and 527 kilowatt hours for the south-facing 3.9 kilowatt array. And comparing August data to previous years, 2019 is the only year that was better from the data that I've got. Grid import for the month, that's a nice low number of 7.4 kilowatt hours, and 2.3 kilowatt hours of that was on a single day when we had the battery off while it was being reconfigured. So our Octopus Energy bills, that was 43 kilowatt hours in April for £11.78, £9.20 for 9.4 kilowatt hours in May, £8.10 for just 3.9 kilowatt hours in June, £8.05 for 1.9 kilowatt hours in July, and this month, August, £8.92 for 7.4 kilowatt hours. With the tariff going up in September, the bill's going to be higher. Solar generation that we actually exported, that's lower this month, but still a high number of 448 kilowatt hours. Now that we have a second electric car, I'd expect to see that export come down further. Talking of electric car charging, that was 560 miles we drove in the Mini Electric this month, and in the new e-Golf, the Golf Electric, that was 258 miles for the month. We hadn't had it very long in August. That was just 23 kilowatt hours of public charging and 151 kilowatt hours of charging from solar at home. Hot water heating was all from the Mixergy Eddy, and that was 98 kilowatt hours. That left 345 kilowatt hours house consumption. I don't have a full breakdown of all of those 345 kilowatt hours, but 2.2 kilowatt hours, that was Charlotte's e-bike. 4 kilowatt hours was what the Eddy thought came from the grid, but that was actually battery charging without any solar. 93 kilowatt hours was from the Eddy on solar. 16 kilowatt hours was for our second fridge that's out in the garage. 19.8 kilowatt hours is the television, unbelievably, for the month of August. Lounge aircon, that was the portable device before we installed the proper Toshiba units. 44 kilowatt hours for aircon downstairs. 62.7 kilowatt hours, that was aircon upstairs in the bedroom, and obviously that's replaced also by a Toshiba unit now. There's around 195 kilowatt hours missing from that data, so that accounts for everything else. Lights, the cooker, the hob, everything else in the house. I can't help but wonder if one day I will have monitoring on every circuit in the house. Then it'll all add up.
As always, thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hope there's lots there that you found interesting and helping you on your journey towards electrification. Yeah, it's what we all need to do. We need to get off gas, get off oil, stop burning petrol, diesel and all these other things. They're not good for the environment, they're not good for the country, they're not good for us, they're not good for the pollution, they're not good for CO2, they're not good for everything. It's just what we need to do. And if you're able to, if you can generate your own electricity and then use it, it really is saving an absolute mint at the moment, with energy prices soaring and continuing to soar with, well, no end in sight. It's a dodgy thing, isn't it, seeing that, you know, people can't afford their energy, can't afford the bills, and then the government are going to help those people, but that money is still going to find its way to the oil and gas companies, not the energy companies. Not energy companies like Octopus, they're not the ones at fault here. The people that are causing these high prices are the oil and gas companies. It's Shell, it's BP, and guess what? They're making record profits. So we need to stop using their products. And the more you stop using them, the more they will invest in renewable energy and finding different ways to make their business pay. Yeah, we just need to stop using it. And it's the same as Putin, isn't it, with all his oil and gas pipelines. You know, because we used it, he's blackmailing us. And there's the answer to these solutions: stop using them. Then they can't blackmail you. And that's what we need to do with BP and Shell, etc. We need to stop using their products. That's my opinion. I'm not sure what other people think. I'm sure there's lots of other opinions out there, but that's mine. Take care. See you again soon for more videos, electric cars. I'll end the video with a little update on our holiday. We had a really poor holiday from Sykes Cottages, where the cottage that we arrived at, God, it was not worth the money. Everything you could tell was just knocked up cheaply, and they were just minting the money from the rentals. And it was misdescribed, it wasn't really fit for purpose, it was even dirty, we had to clean it when we arrived. You know, it wasn't disgusting, but it wasn't up to the standard you might expect. And then after cancelling and only getting half our money back, which we're going to probably take legal advice because they have discriminated against a disabled person, we then found another cottage, the Wrigley Tin, up in the Peak District, which was fantastic. Described correctly, EV charger friendly, they didn't mind us charging our electric car, and everything was perfect. It was like a home from home, and beautiful area, lots to do up there. So yeah, praise to the Wrigley Tin in Millersdale. So if you want to go anywhere near Buxton Bakewell, look them up. The Wrigley Tin, fantastic place to stay. Thoroughly recommend it. Here's some pictures from our holiday. Take care. See you again soon. Bye for now.